I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Obviously, our thoughts and our prayers of all the people of New Orleans go to the families of the two men whose lives were taken over the weekend in Baton Rouge and in Minnesota. Both of those incidents are tragic incidences which are under investigation with the federal government leading both of those. Very difficult times for those families and for those communities. Our thoughts and our prayers also go out to the families of all the slain officers in Dallas. Mayor Mike Rawlings is a good friend of mine. Obviously, I know Mayor Kip Holden very, very well. America is in mourning. This has been a very, very difficult couple of days for the United States of America, and evidences the fact that we have a long way to go to make sure that we protect all the lives of all the citizens of America, including the lives of young African American men, and also our police officers who put themselves in harm's way every day to make sure that we protect our freedoms. I want to encourage the people of New Orleans, if they feel like they want to protest, but to protest peacefully. One of the things I'm most proud of the people of New Orleans and our police department is how they handle the relationship between the police and the community. I'm really very appreciative of the work that Chief Harrison has done with all of our deputy chiefs and all of our commanders, the outreach that they have made aggressively over the last couple of years to repair the damage that had been done in years past between the community and the police. I had an opportunity this morning to have a tabletop exercise with all of our law enforcement to make sure that we are in a position to protect the people of New Orleans should groups want to protest and continue to protest so that they can do so peacefully and they can do so safely. We don't have any intelligence that would indicate that we have any threats in the city of New Orleans as we speak, but for all major events that we have and for weekends of high tension like we're in right now, we always want to make sure that we're always prepared, and I feel very comfortable that we are. The second thing I would say is that you can't ever be completely secure without the total cooperation of the citizens, and I am and continue to be proud of the people of New Orleans for leading the nation in the way that we discuss difficult issues with each other. I have spoken many, many, many times about the culture of violence on the streets of America, and of course we continue to see that played out across the country today. Secondly, I had the opportunity at 1 o'clock to go to Liberty's Kitchen to meet with community members who were calling out the names of all of the individuals who were killed by police officers in the United States this year. I thought it was important to stand with them as well, to reiterate that all lives matter. And of course, I just got finished meeting with the police chief, all of our deputy chiefs, all of our commanders, to indicate to them how much we appreciate the sacrifice that they have made, and to reiterate to them that in this very, very difficult time, that my expectation of them, and one that I am sure that they will achieve, is the highest level of professionalism, while they are understandably emotional about the loss of police officers in Dallas. Notwithstanding that fact and how difficult this time is for them, I am absolutely certain that our police department, our men and women, newly trained, newly supervised, managed by a great chief and great deputy chiefs, will rise to the occasion of being highly professional and calling on the relationships that they have built in the last couple of years with community leaders, neighborhood leaders, and pastors to make sure that the civil rights of the people of America through the people of New Orleans are always protected, and that people can certainly exercise their constitutional rights, and they will do so peacefully, and they will also do so safely. And I also want to remind the men and women of the police department, many of whom that we've lost, that they're very important to us, and that if a city is going to be safe, the community and the police have to be one. And I am fully confident that the people of New Orleans, in partnership with the New Orleans Police Department, will demonstrate to America what good police and community relationships look like. From time to time, there are going to be episodes, as we have seen across the country. But when you build that social cohesion, when you build that confidence with each other, you can walk through very, very, very difficult times like we're walking through as we speak. Tomorrow, we will bury a police officer. We will thank he and his family for his service and remember how important it is. But I would just remind everybody that we are one team. We are one fight. We are one voice. We are one city. That is what you have to be in order to sustain difficult times. We have been through many throughout our life. We will have many more, but it's how we respond together that it really counts. And so I want to ask again the people of New Orleans to be vigilant, to be thoughtful, to be respectful, and to protect each other, and that the lives of all of our citizens really, really make a difference and really matter. So with that, I want to turn it over to the Chief for a comment, and then we'll answer questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor said, this is a horrible set of tragedies that have happened, not just in Baton Rouge, but Minnesota, but also in Dallas. And our hearts and prayers are with all of the victims and the police department as well in the city of Dallas. I am extremely proud to be a member of this team, the leader of this police department. We just met with the commanders. We have great planning for any protests and demonstrations that may occur starting now through the rest of the weekend. And we stand prepared and ready to serve the citizens of New Orleans. And while we grieve for the loss of our own officer, and we take on even more grief and mourning for the loss of police officers in Dallas, we stand ready and prepared because that's what we swore and committed to you that we would do. No matter what, we will show up, we will perform at the highest level of excellence and professionalism because that's what we're committed to do. This is the new New Orleans Police Department. And the mayor and I and this entire city, while we grieve, we still remain servants to the citizens who live here and servants to the visitors who visit here. So thank you. We are prepared for anything that may happen. We are allowing citizens to protest and demonstrate. We will not be in their way. We will be protecting them and offering them that space to demonstrate as they choose, in any fashion they choose, as long as they're not committing any harm or danger to themselves or others. We're here to protect and serve. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah. Can you talk a bit more in detail about what measures you have set up preparing for today and going on to this weekend?
So we made sure, number one, we had adequate staffing and that we have officers who are familiar with protests and demonstrations that are out working with organizers so that they understand what it is we expect of them. We have officers who will be shadowing marches, not necessarily marching in the march with demonstrators and marchers, but are out there in case there's a need for medical attention or some other emergency, that we can respond and render that aid that we're supposed to render to them. But it is our duty to make sure that we protect their rights and give them the space to demonstrate. That's exactly what we will do, as we have always done, and we've always done really well. This will be no difference. But now we're faced with having to look up and to look around to make sure there are not people attempting to harm us while we protect and serve others. So that's yet just another thing that we are faced with. So we met with the commanders. We're meeting with the chiefs. They're meeting with their subordinates all the way to the newest officer to make sure that we have spatial awareness, environmental awareness, that we're prepared to work in the heat, and that we're prepared to serve the citizens as they need us to do.
Mayor,
Yes.
you've made several calls this week, joining a growing chorus here and across the country about the need to rework the relationship between communities and police departments, law enforcement agencies. Do you have some specific plans that you're thinking about now?
Well, first of all, one of the things that's been happening in this city that all of you have been able to cover is that we've been working on this for at least 5 years when we began to work cooperatively with the consent decree. So I'm really thrilled that our department has been working on this for a very, very long period of time. We were one of the first departments in the country to mandate, even outside of the mandate of the consent decree, body cameras. We have, for the past 5 years, as part of the consent decree, been building those relationships with neighborhood organizations and with ministers. You know that we had things called the community coordinating officers. We have neighborhood engagement. We constantly are in contact right now, and in the city of New Orleans have been rebuilding that trust. So I think that we are really in a very, very good position. It's one of the reasons why I'm so proud of the people in New Orleans, because this is not the first time we have had an upset like this. But I feel like because of the work that we've done in the last couple of years that we're really in good shape. As the chief alluded to today, we can say with great comfort that anybody that wants to protest is welcome to do it. We have had people from the mayor's office and police from the police department reaching out to the community organizers of those protests saying, listen, where are you going? What are you doing? How can we make sure that you're doing it peacefully, and how can we make sure that you protect you? You can't just do that if you haven't built the relationships over time. And so we will continue to do the work that we have done and plant the seeds and continue to lay the foundation we have in the last couple of years, because I think our work actually has been excellent. It's not going to, in the event that other things happen, that kind of social cohesion will make us walk through those very difficult times. And I'm very proud of the work that our community relations officers have done, our neighborhood engagement officers, and of course the chief, his deputy chiefs, and his commanders.
Jessica? Just wanted to know, you mentioned coverage all around, looking up. Do you guys plan to have any aerial coverage? Is there anything more that's going to be held for these protests that wouldn't have necessarily been held?
So we do what's called threat assessments, and so we do threat assessments on areas where we know demonstrations are occurring before they actually occur. And so while we don't want to give away any tactics that would hinder what we want to do, we can say that we have access to that if and when we need it.
Yeah, I also want to make a comment about that. The shooter in Dallas was not part of that protest. I think that's clear now from the facts. And so in this very specific regard, the people that are protesting are community members. And as we said, with potential counterterrorism attacks in Mardi Gras and then Orlando, the same rules apply. If you see something, say something. That's why there's going to be a police presence. It's to protect the protesters, and it's to protect the community. And so, in America, the marketplace of ideas is on the street, and we protect everybody's First Amendment right to speak loudly and redress your grievances against the government. That's important. We want that to be robust. But simultaneously therewith, when everybody is marching, pay attention to your safety, right, and to the safety of everybody that is there. If you see something, right, that seems out of the ordinary or unusual, that is why the police is there. That's essentially why you have to have good community police relations, because at the end of the day, we are really one community, and the police in the community should be the same thing. That's the optimum, and we're working well towards that effort. My expectation is that's the way people are going to act. I would also just let people know that we have all of the resources necessary in the event that there's any particular threat, and we want to be thoughtful about how we do that. At the end of the day, you have to have good spatial awareness, and I should just say to people, you have to see what you're supposed to see, and look where you're supposed to look, and make sure that we're all being thoughtful about that so we all can protect each other.
Last question, Ryan. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot's being said on social media as far as people saying this and that and the other. There is a demonstration scheduled at Lee Circle tonight for 7 o'clock where in that demonstration they say they're going to either fire off a gun in the air or the sound of a gun in the air, and people are going to hit the ground. What's your reaction to that? Are you telling folks just to be smart or be smarter when they're meeting like this, and then sometimes putting yourself in a situation might not be the situation you want to be?
That's right. Obviously, we want people to be smart. Discharging a firearm in this city is a crime. It is dangerous, and it can hurt, it can kill. So we do not advocate for that. The sound of a gun or some replication of that sound is something different. And so the team here has made attempts to meet with the organizers to make sure that it's not an actual gun being fired. And if they choose to lie down as a symbol of their protest, that's perfectly fine, as long as a real gun is not fired. And we're asking people to be smart about decisions, because actions sometimes create reactions, and what we don't want is for something like that that is symbolic to turn into a reaction that can cause more harm than good.
Right. And then finally, on that note, let me just finish to talk to the people of the city of New Orleans. The nation is at a state of higher alert. You want to always prepare for bad things that could happen, and always hope and expect the best. That is what my expectation is of the people of the city. But we are in a moment right now. And the worst thing that you can do in a moment like this is either to underreact or to overreact. And I'm calling on all of the people of the city of New Orleans to be very thoughtful, be very respectful, and be very professional in how you respond to what we all know could potentially be difficult situations. You can stop things from escalating by being very thoughtful about them. And we're in that moment now where I'm asking every citizen of New Orleans to be aware and to be thoughtful, to be respectful of each other, and I have every expectation that we're going to be able to move through this very difficult time in the way that New Orleans has always done it, as a great example to the rest of the country. And so we are on duty and on call, as we always have been and always will be. And I think the people of New Orleans will show a good example to the rest of the country. That's my expectation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.